Tromelin Island is a low, flat, uninhabited island in the Indian Ocean, about 450 kilometers east of Madagascar. The island is administered as a French overseas territory. Mauritius claims sovereignty over Tromelin Island. France and Mauritius reached an agreement for the co-management of the island without prejudice to the respective positions of the two governments on the issue of sovereignty. Tromelin has a weather station and is a nesting site for boobies and green sea turtles. Description: very much like a large sandbank and only 7 meters high at its highest point. Tromelin is about 1,700 meters long and 700 meters wide, with an area of 80 hectares covered in scrub dominated by octopus bush and surrounded by coral reefs. There are no harbors or anchorages, so that access by sea is difficult. A 1,200-meter airstrip provides the island's link with the outside world. Important bird area. The island has been identified as an important bird area by BirdLife International because of its significance as a seabird breeding site. Both masked and red-footed boobies nesting there. Sulidae populations have seriously declined in the western Indian Ocean, with those on Tromelin among the healthiest remaining. The island's masked boobies are of the western Indian Ocean subspecies, of which Tromelin is a stronghold. The red-footed boobies constitute the only polymorphic population in the region, indicating its biogeographical isolation. Both great and lesser frigate birds used to nest on the island. The breeding populations of both birds have since been extirpated, although they continue to use the island for roosting. There are no resident land birds. History: the island was discovered by France in 1722. It was recorded by the French navigator Jean-Marie Briand de la Feuillée and named Isle des Sables. In 1761 the French ship Utile, carrying slaves from Madagascar to Mauritius, ran onto the reefs of the island. Using the wood of the shipwreck, a raft was built in which the French officers with the crew left Tromelin, abandoning the slaves, 60 Malagasy men and women, on the desert island and promising to return and rescue them. When the crew of the ship reached Madagascar, they requested the colonial authorities to send a ship to rescue the people on the island. However, they met with a categorical refusal based on the fact that France was fighting the 7 Years' War and no ship could be spared. Meanwhile, the people who had been left on the bleak little island built a shed with coral stones, for most wood had been used in the construction of the raft for the crew. They also built a lookout on the highest point of the island in order not to miss the ship that would come to the rescue. They were all from the Central Highlands and were not used to the marine environment. Most died within the first few months. 15 years later, in 1776, Bernard Boudin de Tromelin, captain of the French warship La Dauphine, visited the island and rescued the survivors, 7 women and an 8-month-old child. The French claim to sovereignty dates from the 29th of November 1776, but Mauritius claims Tromelin, arguing that the island hasn't been ceded to France by the Treaty of Paris in 1814. The United Nations never recognized the Mauritian sovereignty over Tromelin. In 1954, France constructed a meteorological station and a landing strip on the island. It is a matter of dispute whether the agreement transferred sovereignty of Tromelin from one to the other, and Mauritius claims the island as part of its territory on the grounds that sovereignty was not transferred to France in 1814 and the island was, thus, part of the colony of Mauritius at the time of independence. Indeed, as early as 1959, even before independence, Mauritius informed the World Meteorological Organization that it considered Tromelin to be part of its territory. France and Mauritius reached a co-management treaty in 2010. Tromelin has an exclusive economic zone of 280,000 square kilometers, contiguous with it of Acute Union. The island's weather station, which warns of cyclones, is still operated by France and is staffed by meteorologists from Acute Union. Amateur radio. The first amateur radio operation from Tromelin Island took place in 1954 by Mark FB8BKT. A major operation took place in 2000 by a 4-man team who made 50,000 contacts with the call sign FRF6KDFT. Authorization was not given again until 2014, so by August 2014, Clublog listed Tromelin Island as the 8th most wanted DXCC entity. A D-expedition consisting of 7 French radio amateurs arrived and operated from Tromelin Island from October 30 to November 10, 2014 using call sign FD40A, making 71,465 contacts.